I'm a little nervous to say my thoughts on it. If you are constantly wanting to change your body or, change the way you look, or you have certain goals in mind for yourself, what's gonna happen? It's no one's concern. I thought you loved yourself. I thought you loved your skin. It's just a whole load of bullshit. It's time to get loud. Welcome back to LoudTalk with Lavi, a podcast where we break down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time. Thank you so much for tuning in into this episode of LoudTalk. If you are listening on your favorite podcast streaming platform like Spotify or Apple, just remember that you can also go check out LoudTalk on YouTube, on the LoudTalk with Lavi YouTube channel. We do post the video version of every single podcast on there, so I'd love to see you and for you to see my face while I'm talking about these topics. But anyways, let's get into this podcast episode because I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous, but also very heated and excited to get into this topic. This has been a podcast episode I've been wanting to film for a while because we are talking about body positivity today. And this is a touchy topic. I feel like anytime someone brings up body positivity, no matter what their stance is on it, someone is going to disagree and they are going to get, dragged to dirt in the comments, basically. I see this all over social media. So yeah, I'm a little nervous to say my thoughts on it, but I think this is a podcast episode that I really wanted to incorporate and a topic I really wanted to get loud about because I think I have an interesting stance on body positivity and I really want, this episode to be a conversation. If you disagree with me, tell me in the comments, we can talk about it. But I want you to give me the chance for me to share my opinion with you because I do think I take a very different approach to body positivity than most people, and hopefully this episode is eye-opening or lets you see a different perspective than maybe what you were seeing before. So let's just start off by saying that I think body positivity, at least the body positivity movement, can sometimes be a whole load of bullshit. And I'm going to get into that because some of you who may know me from my social platforms know me as a skin positivity influencer. I show real skin. I encourage people to feel comfortable and confident in their skin. And, the theme of this podcast is breaking down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time to really encourage those people out there to feel more confident in their skin. And I teach my followers tips and tricks on how to love themselves and love their body and love their skin to feel like their best self. So you might be thinking, okay, well, Lavinia, if you're, encouraging all this self-love and everything, why do you have such a stance on body positivity or skin positivity or this whole positivity around oneself in general on social media? And I think my issue with it, let's just start off the bat. My biggest issue with it is the fact that people are not able to see that things are so intertwined. People on social media take body positivity and run with it a little bit too far, in my opinion, because they draw lines in the sand. And apparently, if you are body positive, you cannot ever want to change anything about yourself. That's just the way it is. Because if you're telling me you love your body, you're also saying, oh, you can never change anything about yourself. And I think that is such bullshit. That's the only way I can describe it. And then on the other side of things, if you are constantly wanting to change your body or, change the way you look, or you have certain goals in mind for yourself, therefore you hate your body and you are not body positive. So see how people draw these super harsh lines in the sand? And this is what my issue is with body positivity, because it can sometimes encourage a very negative mindset that you cannot change anything about yourself. Now, I've seen this come up in a lot of different spaces. Let me talk about my personal experience first. So, as a skin positivity influencer, I post my real skin all the time. I've posted my skin at its lowest lows and at its best days ever and show you guys the real and raw, journey that I'm going on. And I remember when my skin was at its very worst, super inflamed, everything like that, I was getting comments from people being like, oh, well, so what? You love your skin so much, you're just okay to have acne for the rest of your life, even though your skin's not healthy or your body's telling you something's wrong. So you're just gonna love your skin and roll with it. And it's people are misinterpreting my message so badly because I wasn't coming on there saying, if you have acne, you should never want to get rid of it. That is not at all what I was saying. But what I was trying to say is I'm not just going to sit in a hole, hate on myself until my skin clears up, because there's no point in doing that. What good would that do anybody if I just sat at home, hid my face from the world and cried about how my face looked for the next 2-3 years until I could get it under control, if I could ever get it under control? Instead, I'm going to, come on here, show you guys the journey that I'm on, be vulnerable, show other people that are struggling with acne that it's okay to have skin issues, and still show you the process I'm going on to still try and heal my skin. So people couldn't wrap their heads around that, the fact that I was able to love my skin and love myself, but still look for ways to improve myself. Obviously, I'm trying to, take down my acne and improve it, but I can still love my skin in the process and still be able to be on a road of, healing my skin and going down that journey. And that's why I'm filming this podcast Makeup Free in this episode today, because I want to just show that real side at the same time. I want to show you guys my real skin and show you that I can be comfortable and confident in my skin with my acne showing, but still want, and have different skin goals for myself in the future. That is totally okay. So a lot of people were saying that in the comments. Some people were also telling me, well, you're obviously trying to have acne on purpose because this fuels your whole job. You can't be like skin positive unless you have acne, which is also so false. I can post my real skin and show unfiltered makeup and skincare videos without having acne. I just also happen to have acne. So when I show my real skin, you're also going to see my acne. So people were really just misinterpreting my message there. Now, I think what really sparked this inspiration to get this podcast out at this moment is I was scrolling on social media and I saw Spencer Barbosa, which you guys probably know, post a video, and she was basically telling people that they need to stop commenting hate on her videos. And this was shortly after she actually posted some videos of herself and saying that she really enjoyed spin classes, which spin is just like a form of cycling and it's super fun. You play music. It's a really great form of exercise, especially if you hate cardio like me. Spin can definitely get you doing and, moving around your body. And I found it interesting because she is a very body positivity girly. She's always teaching other people on social media how to feel comfortable and confident in their skin. And once she started posting that she was enjoying going to spin class, and then she did a spin class herself, I believe she hosted it, people were in her comments telling her, why are you trying to change your body? And people were saying, oh, you're trying to lose weight now. You're trying to, get skinnier, blah, blah, blah. You're not body positive anymore because you're doing exercise. And she came on here and was like, what the heck are people on about? Because she's like, I'm not necessarily trying to lose weight. And even if I am, it's no one's concern. She's like, I'm trying to do something that's healthy for my body. I'm going to spin. I'm incorporating more exercise into my daily life. And that does not mean that I'm going to be less body positive or that I hate my body just because I'm trying to incorporate some exercise into my life. And this is what I found like absolutely absurd, because I was like, wow, that really opened my eyes. I already knew there was a boundary and there was people crossing these lines, but that's really when I realized, people do not understand the true meaning behind body positivity at all. And I think how it is perceived on social media is really toxic, because body positivity shouldn't be about loving everything about yourself and not wanting to change anything. Body positivity should be about being comfortable in your skin and still having goals for yourself and knowing that you are going to love yourself now and you're also going to love yourself in the future when you obtain those goals. But with body positivity, it's not just about looks. Body positivity encompasses all. It encompasses your mind, your skin, your body, your actual physical looks, and your insides, everything. Body positivity is taking care of your whole self. And I think, body positivity should mean that you are putting your body first. You are loving yourself at every point, and you're not confining to these beauty standards out there. You're not starving yourself or working out every day to look like this unrealistic beauty standard that is out there, or going to get fillers, or and I'm not saying any of this stuff is bad if you want to do that. I'm just saying you don't have to do things if you don't want to. And that is the whole premise behind body positivity, is you don't have to change yourself to conform with a certain beauty standard that someone else has set out there. But if you have goals for yourself to become a better version of you, that still aligns with body positivity. That is not going against body positivity. You can see I'm getting a little flustered in this episode because I'm very passionate about this topic, and I think people grab body positivity and run with it out the door and say, well, I'm body positive, so I shouldn't have to change anything about myself, and I love the way I am. And that's awesome that you love the way you are. But you can't tell me that having goals for yourself is not also aligning with body positivity. Because if you have goals in yourself to better improve yourself, that is also part of body positivity. Just because you are trying to have goals for yourself, just because I'm trying to clear my skin over time, does not mean I hate my skin now. It's just I'm trying to love the skin I'm in, but also I have goals for myself to how to make it better for my health, because my skin is a reflection of my overall body's health. Okay, I need a little breather before I keep going because I'm just like going crazy here. A little booster juice break, smoothie break. So when I started getting acne, it wasn't that, oh, I'm just gonna like let it run, and of course, like I can't change the acne or get rid of it overnight. But I could start reflecting on, okay, what am I doing in my everyday lifestyle that may be causing my skin to flare up? I looked into hormonal imbalances. I looked into my fitness levels. I looked into what I was eating. And through all of that, I was able to find a healthier, balanced lifestyle that in exchange is helping my skin. So although my skin is not perfect today, I have a lot of scarring left. I can't change that overnight. That's going to take years to, help that scarring, multiple skin treatments, all of that. So I can love my skin today and still work towards these healthy, more healthy and balanced lifestyle choices that I'm making every single day. And that's really, really the key there when it comes to body positivity. Now, what I do want to get into here is, since I talked a little bit about my own story and also Spencer's story there, which I think really set a spark in my mind across this story, I did ask some of you guys over on my Instagram what your thoughts are on body positivity. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to see other people's perspective. I'm always very open to hearing what other people have to say and, educating myself in these topics before making an opinion. I do have my own opinions here, but I also want to read on what other people have to say and kind of deep dive more into that. So I asked the question, do you think body positivity can be toxic? If so, why? Because I personally think body positivity can turn toxic if it's taken in the wrong context or if people are misinterpreting it. So let's go through some of the responses here. Someone said yes, saying yes, they believe it's toxic. I don't want to think so much about my body as long as I am healthy. And this is where body positivity can become a little toxic, where, we're saying body positivity is all about feeling good in your own skin. But with body positivity, so many people are just putting these standards back into your face and telling you, if you're body positive, this is how you should look. Or if you're, care about yourself, this is how you should look, blah, blah, blah. So this person right here is just saying it straight blank. I don't want to care about how my physical body actually is looking as long as I am healthy. And I think that is a great response there because they're focusing more on what's actually important in terms of body positivity, which is taking care of yourself rather than, obtaining these beauty standards that are set out there. Someone else said yes, because I feel like if I had a bad day, I failed my fake positivity. This is so important. I didn't really think about this because this is another thing that people misinterpret on my social media. When I post myself having a bad skin day and me saying, you know what, I feel a little down in my skin today, that's just part of the journey. Even if I have a more positive attitude towards my skin, I'm still going to have days where I look at myself in the mirror and don't like what I see in the mirror. So when I post those things, people are like, oh, well, I thought you loved yourself. I thought you loved your skin. And that doesn't take away from me loving myself. It's just we're humans. We're all going to have bad days, So I think it's really important to have these discussions and realize that you can be body positive and still be good, even if you weren't absolutely positive one day and if you did get down on yourself. I think that's totally normal. So I totally agree with this person's comment right here. Someone said yes, having high levels of LDL, cholesterol, and not doing exercise. A lot of people get into this on socials, associating how body positivity can have a negative impact on people's, actual wellness. And I think there are lines that can be crossed there. And I think a lot of people misconstrue how someone's looks relate to their actual health. And a lot of people think, oh, well, if you have a bit of a belly or, you contain fat a certain way, or if you look a certain way, you're unhealthy. But then they may see someone who's super, super skinny and say, oh, they're super healthy. So I think that in itself is a whole nother part of body positivity that people are just misinformed about, and they make perceptions about someone's health just by the way they look. So that takes a way deeper dive, and that's definitely something that person really needs to do some reflection on. But again, if there are ways that you can improve your health and maybe incorporate more exercise or, just do more things that are good for your body, I think that is up and to that person's responsibility to take that ownership and not just say, well, I love the way I am, I never want to change myself. There's definitely some blurred lines in that section there for sure. Someone said, yes, sometimes it can be too pushy and people might get worried they're not doing enough, or it can cause a lot of anxiety and make them feel more self-conscious. So this is totally right. And this is the exact opposite of what body positivity is even out here to do. So we're kind of creating that opposite effect on some people by putting too much pressure of if you're not always happy in your body, you're doing it wrong. And that's definitely not what this is all about. Yes, there are many legit health concerns that could be avoided. Stay positive though. And I think that, again, this is just taking that boundary too far, taking body positivity a little too far, which can be dangerous, I think, in some situations for sure. Someone else said, as soon as it crosses the boundary of what's healthy, it's toxic. Yep, and that's definitely another aspect that I think people should deep dive into. Yep, when people hype up unhealthy body conditions instead of suggesting solutions. So I don't think that suggesting solutions is necessarily the way to go either, because everyone's different. But I just think that if people are getting mad at you on social media for taking care of your body, no matter what that looks like to you, and telling you, oh, if you like exercise, you're not body positive, I think that's a little over the boundary line, in my opinion. Oh, this is interesting. Somebody said, yes, it's toxic because some people aren't spreading positivity. They're just lying to people's faces. I agree with this. I totally agree with this. And I think this is also why people get a misconception of what body positivity is. And people think that if you're body positive, you have to be 100%. Yes, I love myself every single day, because that's so fake. No one is like that. Nobody in this world is 100% happy with how they look every single day. No one is 100% confident unless they are lying about it, because everyone has bad days. So I think it's very important that more people come on social media and show the good and show the bad days, to show that we are normal humans and that these feelings come up. Someone said that body positivity hyper focuses on how your body looks so it can have the opposite effect. Totally agree with this. Totally agree with this. It puts more focus on how someone actually looks rather than just feeling good in your own skin and being confident and doing what's best for you to maintain the most healthy and best version of yourself that you can. Okay, now there were a few comments I got from people that talked about body neutrality. And this is the next topic of this podcast I want to get into, because this, I think, really aligns with my stance on how you should be perceiving yourself and going about body positivity with body neutrality. So let's talk about it. So a few people that answered this question I put up said, I like the idea of body neutrality. And I totally agree with that. And then someone else said, yes, body positivity can be very toxic. Our value doesn't come from our looks. Body neutrality is the way to go. So let's talk about body neutrality and what it is, because I think more people should be talking about body neutrality on social media, and I'm honestly kind of surprised it's not as talked about as it should be. So let's kind of break this down. Neutral. When you're neutral in something, it means you don't perceive that thing to be either good or bad. You just see it as it is, okay? So let's just take a very simple example here, okay? If I were to give you an apple, okay, and I were to ask you, what is this? If you were looking at it in like a very positive, you'd say, oh, this is something I love, okay? If you hated apples and you were very negative about this situation, you would say, this is something I hate, okay? We see the two opposite sides of the spectrum. Then, if you're being neutral and you're just stating the facts, you would say, this is an apple. And your opinion on that apple is not really put into perspective, because I didn't ask for it, right? We're taking a very neutral approach here. Now let's think about your body, or body positivity. Body neutrality is looking at your body and seeing it as what it is, or looking at yourself and seeing it as what it is, and not necessarily taking a good or bad stance on it. Because when you have those good or bad stances, that's when actually things can get a little bit toxic in there. So for example, I could look at myself in the mirror, look at my face, identify the features I have, what I like about myself, whatever. But I can also look in the mirror and say, I have acne. I have acne scars right here and here and here and here. Then I can think, well, actually, I would like to get rid of those acne scars. So what is something I can do to do that? I can do my research and start doing different treatments and stuff like that. But then I can also, think about, well, I'm not going to just sit here and look at myself in the mirror and cry over this, or hate myself and tell myself how ugly I look. I can just say, I love how I look, and I think I'm really beautiful, even though I have some acne scarring, but still identifying, yeah, I have acne scarring there, and obviously I would love for my skin to be super clear. That's not where I'm at right now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have more of a positive mind frame, of course, a little bit there, and love my skin the way it is, but still have that neutrality in there and be able to identify some of those flaws or things I do want to improve about myself and work to do so. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't be happy until I get rid of my acne scarring, but that just means that that is something I am looking forward to in the future. And I'm going to be able to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself I'm beautiful now and then. Do we see the difference? Like, do we see that difference? Or I could take that very body positive, super extreme approach and say, I never want to fix my skin. I'm good with the way it is. I can keep breaking out for the rest of my life, and I don't care to find a solution or look more into this to make sure it doesn't have to do with anything in my health related, or I don't want to look more into this to see if it's health concern related or anything like that. I'm just going to love my skin the way I am. Do we see how that can turn a little bit toxic over time if you're not, looking at it with a little bit more of a neutral approach? So I think being neutral is very important in these situations. And then with that, we can also take that into consideration when we are looking on social media, and maybe that comparison starts to come into place. If you're more neutral with how you are perceiving things, you can see someone on social media and think they are absolutely gorgeous. But you're going to keep a neutral stance on it, and you're not going to put yourself in that basket to compare yourself to. You're going to look at that person and be like, wow, they are beautiful. I love how their body looks, or I love how their face looks, or I just love what they're doing in their life. They're so successful, blah, 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 whatever you are noticing about them. But being body negative, let's say, you're going to start going, well, I don't look like that. My body looks like shit, or I don't look like that. My face is so ugly, blah, blah, I'm not as successful. And then being way too body positive is, I would say, looking at someone that you admire. Let's say they, are fulfilling like a career aspect that you really admire, or let's say they have super glowy skin, or they have like really strong arm muscles, or whatever it is that you admire about them. Being way too body positive is looking at that person being like, well, you know what? I love myself the way I am. And even though I like how like that certain feature looks, I love myself way too much. I don't want to have that. And obviously there's so much in between here. I think if we're more body neutral, we can really take things that we are seeing in the world and pick through them and sort through them and figure out the goals we want to have for ourselves. So to give you kind of some context, I got into the gym about a year ago, and I absolutely love it. And the reason I love it is because it gives me a space where I can go and just, focus on my health for an hour. I'm not thinking about work or these other things, and I can really just relax. Now, I was weightlifting for a really long time, like the past year, and I wasn't doing any cardio or really any movement of those sorts because I don't like cardio. I'm going to be really honest. But what I started noticing is when I'd go on like a hike with my friends or go play basketball or something, I was so out of breath. And I would be constantly like overworking myself. My heart rate was going so high up. And that's when I realized, well, you know what? I don't want that to be like something I keep having to go through. I want to be able to be better at cardio and increase my, cardio levels and all of that. So I'm going to start working towards that. I have a goal for myself to start working towards that. Does that mean that I want to lose weight or look a different way, blah, blah, blah? Maybe or maybe not. It honestly does not matter. It's not anyone's concern. But what I started doing was putting in more mobility into my life. So I actually bought a walking pad. I started going swimming more. I'm getting like 10,000 to like 20,000 steps in every single day to just get more movement in. And let me tell you, this has changed my life so much. My productivity levels have gone up. I feel way better throughout the day. I feel less tired. I just feel, like I'm more radiant, and my cardio levels, I feel like, are also improving. I don't feel as tired from just doing like a small task. I'm able to sustain that a bit more. And obviously that's just me working towards my goal. Now, with that, in the past month, I have noticed a little bit of weight loss. Was that my pure intention? No. But because, I'm working more on my diet right now, just eating a bit cleaner, to help out with my acne and stuff, and also support my exercise, because I need to be eating good or else my exercising and my workouts won't really mean much. Those are just some of the effects that I'm going to see. Does that mean I absolutely hate my body right now and I'm trying to lose weight and put on more muscle, and like if I don't do that I'm going to be miserable with my body? No, that's not what it means. It's just I have certain goals in mind and I want to be a little stronger. To be honest, like I want more definition in my arms. I want my legs to be stronger, I want to have like better cardio levels, and I think that's okay. And when people start attacking other people for taking care of themselves, I think this creates a really big problem, because it's like, Why are people getting so upset on social media that others are just trying to take care of themselves, you know? It's honestly really, really mind-blowing, this whole situation to me. And I wish we could round up everyone on social media and just have a conversation about this and like set the rules straight. Well, not even rules, just like explain this whole thing a little bit more, because I think the body positivity movement really started just these past couple of years. I think especially during COVID, and around that time, people started, feeling more comfortable and showing more sides of the real sides of them, and I absolutely love that, and I stand for it, because that's one of the drivers of my content too. I absolutely stand behind loving and appreciating yourself and building that confidence in yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you can't be confident in yourself. I honestly don't think you can have that. You can have one without the other. But I think with that, avoiding that narcissism is really important, and not getting too cocky with yourself. You can love yourself, but I think you should still be able to realize areas of your life that you want to improve in, because no one's perfect. And if we all run around here saying, I love this the way I am, I think I'm absolutely perfect the way I am, then, well, you're never going to have any growth in life. And I think part of life is all about growing and learning and improving. So, if we simplify this down, because I love to give these examples just so everyone understands. Let's say we have a math student, okay? And they're in grade 5 math, let's just say, and they're doing really great. They're killing their test. They're getting hundreds on everything. And their teacher is like, you are such an amazing math student. You are perfect. Never stop what you're doing in math. You're amazing. Then they move on to next grade level, grade 6, and they start having to learn a different type of math, the next thing in the curriculum. And they have learned this whole positivity, stance where they know they are good at math and they have that confidence in themselves. If they have that confidence in themselves, there's 2 ways they can go about it. They can be confident in themselves and say, okay, I'm confident in myself. I like how I am right now, but I want to keep growing. I want to keep learning and better myself, okay? And that would be taking the next stage, which in this case, it's a next curriculum math, and going with that and learning more. Or they can say, well, I love myself. I'm so good, at this. I'm very confident in my skills, and I don't need to change anything. I don't need to learn anything new. There's nothing for me to learn that's new. And what's going to happen? They're going to struggle in that next phase, okay? Because they're refusing to be open-minded to learning something else or improving on themselves. And I think these are those 2 pathways that people don't really identify when it comes to body positivity, and they only identify the part where it's if you love yourself, you shouldn't want to have to change anything about yourself, where I think you can love yourself and still want to change certain things or become a better version of yourself. And I think that's totally okay. So I've rambled on. I think you guys understand my perspective on body positivity now. Let's get into some maybe tips on how you can actually implement this way of thinking into your life, because I think it definitely takes learning, especially if you've maybe been listening to my podcast and you're like, wow, maybe I should kind of change my perspective and take on a more body neutral position rather than super body positive. So let's talk about how you can kind of implement some of these changes into your life. Simple things. Let's start morning to night. You start your morning doing some skincare, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just looking at your features. This is a time where I always say, take some time in the morning and tell yourself something you love about your skin. Tell yourself something you are loving when you are looking in the mirror, because you need to hear it, right? Especially if you're feeling down that day. And even if you don't love anything that day, just pick something and say, I promise you this will make a difference. So you start with that, right? And then let yourself also identify things that you want to maybe change in the future. You have things that you're working towards. So for example, I could look in the mirror and say, I love how glowy my skin looks today. I love how it's healing so nicely and how it comes back stronger every single time, no matter what breakouts I'm going through. Then I can say, I have some dark scarring over here that over time I'd like to lessen up. Oh yeah, I have a microneedling treatment I can do, and that will kind of help with that over time. Do we see how I'm very neutral in that stance? I'm still loving my skin and accepting it for what it is, but still have goals in mind for the future of how I want it to look. Okay, perfect. Next step of the day here, right? Then I'm off to the gym, and I'm at the gym, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm really, just appreciating the body that I'm looking at, and I can identify the parts of myself that I think are really beautiful and the parts that I love. And let's say I'm looking at like my hip dips, right? Or my arms or something that maybe I'm looking to improve. And I'm like, you know what? I wish my arms were a little like more toned out. And if I'm getting into more of a negative mindset where I'm starting to be like, I hate the way my arms look, like they look so bad, that's when you maybe need to take a step back, Instead, you could be like, well, I look good right now. I feel good and I feel confident, but I just like if my arms were maybe a little more toned. You know what? I'm at the gym right now. Is it a arm day? Maybe not, maybe whatever. What can I do to start incorporating that into, let's say, my workouts so that I can get to my goal? And then you're working on that and you're seeing those improvements in yourself. And that is the most fulfilling feeling when you're looking at yourself and you love what you see, but you also have these goals in mind and you're working towards becoming that better version of yourself. It is the best. It is honestly the best. Okay. And then, later on in the day, you're going to work or whatever it is, and you're at work and you're feeling, you're like, yes, I'm getting my work done. Like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident, whatever I'm doing. I like how I'm like typing over here. There's no computer. There's just my fake keyboard that I'm typing on. And you get stuck on a piece of the project you're working on. You can get really down and be like, I'm so dumb. I don't know what to do next, blah, blah, blah. Or you can say, well, I don't know how to do this, but I know I'm smart enough. I know that I have the brains to figure this out. I may just need to do some learning, improve my skill set to be able to get past this challenge that I'm going through. Do we see how this is kind of coming into play? Like, is this making sense? I'm hoping that this makes sense, what these examples I'm kind of giving here. Being able to accept that change that you may want for yourself and being able to recognize ways that you want to better yourself, but still being able to maintain love and respect for yourself. Respect. I haven't used that word the whole podcast, and I think this is something that more of us need to start learning, is respecting ourselves. Not just loving ourselves, but respecting ourselves. Because respect comes in all aspects. You can respect someone and still give them advice on how to improve themselves. You can respect someone and still be looking out for their back when they're doing something that you think is wrong. And I think people need to take that perspective to themselves too, okay? So I knew I loved myself, okay? I can look confident in the mirror and know that I'm secure in my body. But I also have enough respect for myself to know that I was like, wow, I'm really sitting most of the day and I'm not getting much movement in. So I'm going to invest in myself and think of ways that I can incorporate this into my life because I want to take care of me. You get one body, and you want to take care of it. You get one mind, you want to take care of it. And this is why these areas that are talked about on social media in terms of self-love and body positivity and all of that are so touchy and so sensitive because everyone is so different and we're not always making the best choices to take care of ourselves, and things can go to such extremes. And I think a lot of people talk about balance, and balance is something that's really hard to get a balance of, truly, because you go on social media and you're eating like a really healthy meal. Then people are like, oh, this person is so strict. They must hate themselves. They're always just trying to diet or work out or whatever, right? When you can maybe just be taking care of yourself. Then you post another video of you maybe like eating an ice cream. Then people are like, oh, you must not care about your body at all, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, maybe you're just enjoying that one day, like you haven't had a treat for yourself all week and you're just enjoying an ice cream out with some friends or something, So people take things to two extremes, and I think having a balanced lifestyle doesn't mean that you just let yourself go every day and just like eat whatever you want, and never take care of your body and not take care of your hygiene or whatever it is, right? But being balanced is taking care of your mind and body, but not taking it too extreme, right? If you're going to the gym every single day because you're like, this is what's good for me, yes, exercise is amazing. But if you're even going to the gym on the day that you should be having a rest day to rest your muscles and rest your brain, and you're really, really tired and you just need that extra rest, take that rest day. That's balance. That is balance, Balance is not going each extreme of never exercising or over, going to the gym every single day because you're trying to be the best version of yourself. Balance is somewhere in the middle, and some days it's more on this side, some days it's more on this side. It flows. It's not linear, no one's journey is linear. And having that respect for yourself where you want to improve yourself, but you also allow yourself to have down days or have days where you're out of your balance or whatever, because we are human, is so important. So when it comes to all of this, really take time to reflect where you are at. I think writing some of this down is really, really great. I always say that the podcast is kind of my way of getting my thoughts out and writing things out, because it's really good to have these conversations. And if you want to sound out in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, let me know what you think about all of these topics, about body positivity, body neutrality, and respecting yourself, because I think it is really important to have these conversations. And I would love to hear from you what your opinions are on this topic, since I know it's a sensitive one. I know it's not something that's easy to talk about, but I think the more we talk about it, the easier it gets. And the more we have these conversations, the more we can have a better understanding about these topics and whether they can be taken too far and be toxic. And I think this is one of them that has borderline become a little toxic on the internet with just how people are interpreting it. So, I do ask that we keep things respectful in the comments. Everyone has different opinions, and that's okay. And that's one of the beautiful things that makes us, a society, is that we're able to have different opinions, because if everyone was the same, how boring would this world be, right? So we're allowed to have different opinions. We're entitled to different opinions, and that's all right. So all I ask is that whatever your opinion is and whatever your stance is, please be respectful. And this is not just if you're commenting on this video, this is in general. When you're looking at someone's page on social media, no matter what your perspective is, be respectful. You don't know their life. You don't know what they're actually going through, right? So if you see that they gained weight or lost weight, or they're exercising or they're not exercising, that is not your really thing to comment on. It's not. You don't know their life. And take the example that I gave about Spencer Barbosa and all the comments she was getting of people telling her that she is trying to lose weight and that's ruining her whole body positivity movement. If people would take the time to understand that she just loves these spin classes. She's been posting about them, saying how much she loves them and how it's just giving her, another way to create movement in her life and just have a healthier, balanced lifestyle and include some movement because it's really good for you. That is something that people should have become more educated on before coming at her and saying all these things. So just be respectful, be mindful, understand that people have different opinions, and also understand that not everyone's going to agree with you, and that if you do have a different opinion, you can voice that opinion without being disrespectful to someone. That is totally fine. Yeah, I hope this episode was helpful and that it sparked some conversation in your mind. I would really highly encourage you to take a look at where you're at, and maybe if you're being maybe more body negative, body positive, or if you are taking a more of a neutral stance, or where you can kind of include more neutrality in your life, because it really does change how you see things. So yeah, I know I rambled on this episode. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I'm happy to do more conversations like this. I know they're not easy to have, but they're important. And thank you for listening. That's all I have to say. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Loud Talk. I love talking to you guys on this podcast. It's truly become one of my favorite things to do. If you do enjoy the podcast and you're listening on Spotify or Apple or any of your favorite streaming services, please rate this podcast 5 stars. No lower. Just 5 stars. And write a review if you want. I'd love to know your thoughts on the podcast. This is something that I have been really, really loving doing aside from my typical content and social media work. So this has been a really freeing escape for me, and I really do enjoy it. So please rate us 5 stars if you do enjoy this podcast so that we can keep it coming. Also, if you're listening on YouTube, comment below what you thought of this episode. And also let me know what you want to see next on Loud Talk with Lavi. If there's any guests you want me to have on, if there's any solo episode topics you want me to do, just let me know down below in the comments. You can also go find us on Instagram and TikTok at Loud Talk with Lavi, where I post more short form content, more just discussion type things that maybe I'm not doing like a full blown episode on. So go check us out on all socials. And then if you're trying to find my content anywhere, I'm at Lavinia Rusanda, basically on all platforms. But I think we got pretty loud today. So thank you for being here. Remember to stay loud and stay confident most of all. And don't forget to tell yourself something you love about your skin today. I love you all so, so much. And you will hear from me in the next episode of Loud Talk with Lavi.